Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman from our studio in downtown Lansing, and right now running down to the Ann Arbor area. And Carla Bailo joins us. She's the head of, what everybody knows is the Center for Automotive Research. And let me start by, before I ask you a question, I want everybody to know none of this is Carla's fault, okay? All right, are you ready, Carla?
That set me up big time. I'm ready.
Well, there's just so many things happening in your industry, and a lot of them are just, it's like a steeplechase when you come to the big thing you have to jump over, and that's what the auto industry has been dancing with. And so I have to ask you to update us. What's happening with number one steeplechase, which is supply chain?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to struggle on a daily basis, and it seems, there's just one thing after the other. So we know we had the semiconductor shortage caused by the pandemic. That has still not been alleviated. And darn it, I am partly to blame for that, because I continue to buy smart appliances and different computerized gadgets, and this is all contributing to the supply chain problem for semiconductors. Granted, they are different specs, but nonetheless there's only X number of manufacturers. That's been further complicated by now we have political unrest in Russia and the Ukraine, where wire harnesses are made, where neon is provided for the lasers to make semiconductors. And then darn it all, another earthquake hit Japan, and the Renesas plant went down for a little bit, as well as some Toyota plants and some Honda plants. So it's just, just this constant churn. So what for me is really interesting is now is the time for risk management like never before. Probably about 10 years ago, during the economic crisis of 2008, risk management really started to become common language within companies. But a lot of times the risk management people were kind of put in the opposite room and said, okay, find 2 or 3 things that we can work on this year that are important. Now those risk management people need to be at the table every single day saying, this is today's issue, but I'm looking at what's happening climate-wise. I want to warn you about this risk. I'm looking at critical materials for supply chains. And by the way, do you have a problem, a social issue in this country where you get whatever element? You need to have people looking at all of these risks and saying, okay, what you need to do is begin to stockpile this or this. And, you can continue to get just in time for these things. But it's a daily job just to keep up with this and continue to look at the churn that's happening. And with our environmental concerns that the globe is facing, with other, political and potential social conflicts happening, I don't think it's going to go away anytime very soon. And clearly, you're not going to make the decision to start warehousing everything.
Well, it's a huge stew with so many ingredients, and you're trying to simmer it at the right time. It's kind of interesting because as you throw into that the rising gas prices now, and what is generally a pretty fickle buying audience for the auto industry, everybody now is starting thinking we're going to go all electric. I mean, that has to complicate things for people who are trying to turn out new product.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the biggest reasons that folks aren't buying electric cars is because of their cost. And with inflation that we're seeing impacting every part, starting with wages. I mean, basic wages now are starting to increase, although not keeping up with inflation yet, but they have to. And all of this, adds to the increase in costs. Supply chain costs have gone up. We're really seeing a lot of the squeeze right now is with the supply base. The suppliers are starting to, cry loudly that they're being hit with so many raw material costs and so many expedited shipping costs.
Carla, let's talk for a second about the autonomous vehicle now, because that was so hot, and now it's become backstage. Although I know progress still being made there. Tell me about where we're at with that and subsequent regulation, which has to come.
Yeah, well, people are again beginning to put money back into autonomy. I think you've seen a lot of the systems that are now available on GM, for example. You know, they show the "We Will Rock You" commercial with the GMC truck, where people are, you know, just letting the truck do, you know, drive for them. But it still requires, of course, everyone to be attentive to what's going on. So a lot of effort is going to those systems right now. The improved safety, what we've seen during the pandemic is that actually traffic fatalities are going up. People are driving faster and not paying attention. So we really have to look at that. On the legislative side, we've seen NHTSA begin to really step up and say, yeah, we need to put in some protocols and some standards for everything from advanced driver avoidance systems all the way up to autonomy. And we're going to step up our act to make that happen. It's really, really important that that happen. We've also seen as part of the infrastructure bill that there now is a requirement or a task given to DOT to put in some driver distraction systems and make rulemaking around that. So we really need to get these protocols in place. With them, we can start to standardize these systems, you know, make systems clear for the consumer, and then we'll start seeing progress be made.
Well, I don't know how you keep it all straight, but I thank you for the time in straightening it out for us. Carla
My
Bailo,
pleasure as usual.
always good to have you here. Carla Bailo, the CEO of the Center for Automotive Research. Thank you all for being on the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman. We'll be right back with more.